So yes, I'll just take you through the agenda first so that you know what to expect in the session, and then we'll start with the session by the expert itself. So yeah, so first you will, we have the ISB ADAFA speaking to you about ISB YLP program, and that is Amit Tyagi. You can see him in the video here. And post that, we will have Samyak Bhatia, who is an ISB YLP admit. He will be talking to you about his application experience so that you know what to expect when you're going through it, and you know what you need to keep ready, right, before you get started with it. And then we have the Q&A Ask Us session where you can clear your doubts. And both the speakers will be available at that time. You can direct your questions towards whoever you want to, and they will answer your queries. That's the agenda. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. So I think I'll just start by introducing Amit first. So I'm sure a lot of you guys would have researched about ISB and you would have come across his name. So just to give a brief intro, Amit is the program lead for admissions for the PGP program at ISB. And he also leads the digital marketing team and the branding team as well. As you can see, he has a lot of years of experience. And in fact, we have done a session with Amit earlier. It was on the ISB program itself. And it was a very insightful session. And he took all the participants through the entire process at ISB. And yeah, and Amit has completed his PGPM from IIM, and he's been with ISB for more than a year now, I think. So I think, Amit, you can take it from here. We're all good, right?
Thanks, Rachel, for the intro, and welcome to all the participants.
I'll just make you the host, Amit.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah. So is my screen visible, Rachel?
Yes, your screen is visible.
So welcome everyone to this session on YLP from the Indian School of Business. Starting of the session, I just want to talk to you a bit about what YLP is all about, or the Young Leaders Program, as we call it at Indian School of Business. YLP is nothing but a foundation program which has been designed to equip young leaders who are currently in the pre-final year and final year of their colleges with multidisciplinary perspectives, thinking skills, and research tools to help them achieve their career goals. How we do that, I'll come to that in a moment. But YLP is more than that. It's also a guaranteed deferred admission to people who are in the final year and pre-final year and who make it to the program, to the globally top-ranked MBA program, PG program at ISB. As the PG program is currently ranked #1 in India and #5 in Asia and #23 in the world. Now, once you get the guaranteed deferred admission, you have to graduate from your colleges, attain 20 months of work experience, attend 3 learning weekends, and then you can directly come and join the program post that. Now, let me elaborate on this a bit. Now, how do we give you those perspectives or thinking skills or research tools to help you plan your career or achieve your career goals? Now, there are different types of students currently in the final year or pre-final year. First are those who would have already decided by now that they want to do an MBA eventually, whether after they graduate from their colleges or after a couple of years of work experience, but they want to do an MBA, and they're also very clear on what area they want to do an MBA in and what area they want to make a career in. For example, a lot of you might want to get into consulting. A lot of you might want to get into finance. A lot of you might want to get into marketing. And you are sure of that right now. Now, how does YLP help you in this? So, for example, if you are in a pre-final year or final year and you get a YLP offer, you are then sure of getting a seat in India's top ranked MBA program, and then you can now start working on other aspects of your career. So you don't have to worry about giving tests like GMAT, GRE, or CAT or others. You don't have to worry about filling out various application forms. You don't have to worry about writing essays or other things. You are now clear. You are now sure that you have a seat. You can now start working on building your skill sets for a career which you want. So, for example, if you want to get into consulting, you can start having a looking for work experience which will help you in that. And it could be something like in analytics. It could be something like in a general management role for those 2 years. Build those skill sets. Come to ISB and leverage those skill sets to get a consulting role from the placement program at ISB. Or if you want to get into finance, you can do a certification like NCFM, work in a financial industry or a financial role, build those skill sets, and use that or leverage that to get a role of your choice in ISB's placement program. So there's a flexibility which this value program offers you by helping you focus on what you want to do eventually after your MBA or build your career. And you are rest assured that you already have a admit into a top B school in India. Now, there are other kind of students who are not sure that they want to do an MBA right now. They might not, but they are still exploring themselves, whether MBA is the right career path for me or not. Now, suppose for such students, after graduating, after working for a couple of years, you realize that now I need to do an MBA to progress further in the career which I have chosen for myself. And now I have realized the importance of doing an MBA, and this is what I want to do. Now, for you, if you realize it after you graduate, after 2 years of working, at that time, along with the high pressure job, you also have to write a GMAT, GRE, or any other test, and you have to also, deal with application forms of 5 or 6 different B schools, target B schools, which you do. Which, believe me, along with working, would be is a very stressful affair. You can ask all the people who apply to PGP every year how much time you need to devote along with the job. But if you had a YLP offer in a pre-final and final year, you already made it to a top B school, and then you can then decide, yes, MBA is a kind of my choice, and I'll now go and study it YLP or at ISB. And if you, in those 2 years after YLP, you find that MBA is not what I want to do, or ISB is not what I want to do, you always have an option of withdrawing, and you get your deposit back. Right? Now, the third kind of students who want to be, let's say, entrepreneurs or want to get into those niche industries. But entrepreneurship, as you know, is uncertain. You're fresh out of college. You will not want to take a risk of being an entrepreneur, leaving the campus jobs that you're offered. And what if you don't make it? What if your entrepreneurship venture does not succeed? Or, what then after 2 years? You are again starting from scratch. But suppose in your pre-final year, final year itself, you have a YLP offer. You have that added confidence that I have a plan B. Even if my venture does not work, I can still go back to ISB, get a degree, and restart again by getting more experience, more expertise, and again restart my entrepreneurial journey. Rather than again at that time trying for different programs. Right? So this is the kind of flexibility which YLP offers you. Now there could be fourth kind of students, who also want to pursue their passions. Some of you who are working in colleges or studying in colleges here might be passionate about various areas like various causes, like teaching, like working in NGOs, dancing, theater, and so on and so forth. But you may not be able to pursue that full time after your college, because you also want to work on a career and build a career and get a job. Now, suppose you get a YLP offer, you can then use those 20 months to work in an area where you can also fulfill your passions. You could opt for a Teach for India fellowship. You could work in an NGO. You could work in a music company. You could work in a theater organization for those 20 months. Fulfill your passions, pursue your passions, and then come to ISB after those 20 months and restart your career again through India's top MBA program. So this is the flexibility which I was talking about, which YLP offers to various candidates. Now, how do we offer you different perspectives, thinking skills, and research tools? So as YLP Admit offers, you don't just have a deferred admission to PGP, but we also mentor you along the way into during those 20 months which you are doing, where you're doing pursuing your work experience. In those 20 months, we organize various learning weekends on our campuses. These learning activities are held on weekends so that we understand that it doesn't affect your ongoing jobs. So you come on certain weekends to the campuses at Hyderabad or Mohali, and you're exposed to the ISB ecosystem, the faculty members, the current students, senior LMs. You build networks with them, you build bonds with them, you visit the various facilities and understand what it is like to do an MBA from one of India's top B schools, and then decide on whether this is for you or not. Right? No, now it's mandatory for the YLP candidates to attend at least 3 learning weekends. Rest all are optional. Another thing which we offer to our candidates as part of the YLP is a TriSet program. Now, TriSet program is nothing but where we take you across 3 top universities offering MBAs in Asia. You'd spend a week each at Tsinghua University, National University of Singapore, and 1 week at ISB. And in those 3 weeks, you will be exposed to the ecosystem at those top universities on how things work. You will meet various stakeholders. You will be engaging in corporate visits. You will be meeting other young leaders from those universities and building your bond with your peers even before you start your MBA journey. And the focus of this Triune contingent is on entrepreneurship and innovation. So you'll be visiting various entrepreneurial parks, innovation hubs, and the various labs at those universities. Now, this Triune contingent is mandatory. It's not mandatory, it's optional, because we understand that you'll be pursuing your work experience during that time. Not all of you may get a leave for 3 weeks. But it's advisable that you be part of it if you can. In terms of cost, the only cost for Triune contingent is your flight cost and cost from airport to the various universities. Rest all is taken care of by the respective universities in terms of boarding and lodging and the various other activities which you do as part of a Triune contingent. So as a YLP student, you get complete exposure to how the B School ecosystem. You meet people, senior people, alums from across the 3B schools, and then you decide for yourself whether the MBA is for you or not, and fits in your career goal or not, and specifically ISB, is it for you or not. So after those 20 months, you can then take a call on whether I want to continue and join the PG program, or I might want to make better, I might want to pursue other aspirations which I might have. So this is in general how YLP gives you flexibility and gives you avenues to plan your career by giving you exposure to the B School ecosystem across top 3 B schools in Asia. I'll come to questions at the end of this. I'll elaborate this more on the questions. But I just now want to talk more about on the admissions journey for YLP. So people who now want to apply for YLP, what does the journey look like? What's the admission process, right? So there are, in terms of eligibility, it's simple. You should be either in a pre-final year or final year of your undergraduate courses or postgraduate courses. In case of postgraduate courses, there should be no break in between your UG and PG, and you should have 0 years of work experience. That's the criteria for applying for YLP. Now, how do you apply? There are 3 stages to apply to YLP program. For in the first stage, you fill an online application, which is currently live on our website, wherein we'll capture your academics, your awards and achievements. You write an essay, and you pay the application fee, which is 3,000 rupees, and that the deadline for filling the stage 1 application form is 28th of March 2021. Now, from stage 1, we'll shortlist people for stage 2, and all the shortlisted people have to write a GMAT test or a GRE test. You can write either of the tests by 31st of August 2021 and submit the scores to us by 31st of August 2021. And apart from this, you also have to write 2 essays. The first essay is on your self-awareness, how self-aware you are, what kind of experiences you bring in. The second essay is on your career vision. So what do you foresee yourself doing in your career? What kind of career you're looking at? And you should have at least a broad idea of that, right? So that is the stage 2 process. And based on the shortlist from stage 2, we'll call people for stage 3 interviews, where alums will interview you and give you an interview score. And we will, based on that, and in your profile, we will then make offers to students. We'll make 100 offers to pre-final year students and maximum of 100 offers to final year students. And this you'll come to know by 15th of November 2021. Now, after you've been made an offer, you have to pay a fee of acceptance fee of 1 lakh plus GST within 2 weeks. And then you have to get 20 months of work experience, attend at least 3 learning weekends on the campus, and then you can come and join the program in case of final years in 2023. And people who are currently in the pre-final year can join the program in 2024. Now, the 1 lakh plus GST which you pay is adjustable towards your overall cost of the program for PGP, which you join in those years. In case you decide you don't want to join immediately, you need more time to figure out your career goals, you can also ask us to defer your joining by 1 year, right? And post that, also, if you don't want to join, then you can withdraw from the program, and most of your 1 lakh plus GST will be refundable to you at that time when you withdraw your from the program. So this is in short about the YLP journey for a candidate who is currently in the pre-final year and final year and wants to apply to YLP. Now, since YLP is an entry route to the PGP program at ISB, I will also take some time to talk about the PGP program and what you can expect out of it when you join the PGP program after your 20 months of work experience. So when ISB was set up in the year 2001, we did not want to reinvent the wheel, but learn from the world's best. And that's when we partnered with Kellogg and Wharton as an associate founding schools. And they helped us build the curriculum, the processes, the systems. They share the faculty members with us in the initial year. And that's how we grew up to be a teaching institute par excellence within a short period of time. Now, any top B school or any educational institution in the world is not just a knowledge disseminator, but also a knowledge creator. Research is an important aspect at any top educational institution in the world. And when we wanted to beef up our research practice, we partnered with London Business School and MIT Sloan School of Management, who shared their research expertise with us and helped us build the research expertise which we have currently at Indian School of Business. And going forward, we also partnered with the Fletcher School at Tufts University for its unmatched expertise in law and legal environment. And that's where we get our expertise in public policy from, and which is one of our specializations which we offer as part of the PGP program to our candidates as well. Now, all our collaborations, these are the 5 top associate B schools of ISB. But apart from this, we also have collaborations with 53 plus top universities across the globe for teaching, for student and teacher exchange, and also for research collaborations, which I'll talk about subsequently. Now, all our efforts towards building the brand ISB and building the institutions have borne fruit. And the very short span of 20 years, we are now ranked among the world's best. So as per FT Global MBA Rankings 2021, we are now ranked number 5 in Asia, number 1 in India, and number 23 globally. And we are also ranked number 3 in terms of salary increase globally. That is the incoming salary of the batch versus the outgoing salary of the batch. There's a 173% increase in the salary, of average salary of the batch. Now, another important thing which we have recently achieved is the Triple Crown accreditations. So world over, B schools are accredited by top 3 accreditation agencies: AACSB, which is a North American body; ACWIS, which is a European body; and Association of MBAs, which are Association of MBAs worldwide. Now, all these 3 have recognized ISB and have given us accreditations, and we are among a select few hundred B schools worldwide to have got the Triple Crown accreditation, which ensures that your credentials as an ISB alumni are recognized world over. So any country you go, you will be accepted on par with other B school graduates because of the Triple Crown accreditation which we have secured. This has also ensured that our alum base is now spread across 60 plus countries and 400 plus cities across the world. Okay, I would like to now highlight something unique about our faculty, what we call the portfolio model of visiting faculty at ISB. So even though we have 70 plus top class teaching and research faculty members across both our Hyderabad and Mohali campuses, but we also have a pool of 200 plus visiting faculty members from top global B schools. And these are not just our founding associate B schools, but also from all other top universities worldwide. And they ensure teaching in excellence. This ensures that we get world's best teaching talent to teach our students right here in the heart of India. And the visiting faculty at ISB do not just come for a one-off lecture. They come here for a complete term and teach a complete course what they teach in the respective universities. So that's why the term portfolio model of visiting faculty. They come with a complete portfolio of a course and they teach the course and then go back to the respective parent universities. So this ensures that right here in heart of India, we learn from the best teachers from all over the world, from the all top universities. Now, 2 examples come to my mind in terms of the faculty members at ISB. One is Mr. Edward Rogers, who till recently was a chief knowledge officer at NASA, and he has been visiting ISB for the last 10 years and is teaching a course called Managing Business Complexity every year, right? So imagine learning complexity from somebody who deals with complexity day in and day out at his job as a rocket scientist at NASA. Another example is Mr. Krish Subramaniam. He's the current Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. And he teaches finance and economics at ISB. So imagine learning finance and economics from a person who advises government of India on financial and economic matters every day. So that's the kind of teaching talent which we have at ISB, which ensures that you learn from the world's best while you are at the India's top MBA program. Now, another important factor at ISB is that we encourage diversity. We're a very diverse B school, be it in any parameter, be it in terms of the scores, be it in terms of the age groups, be it in terms of male female ratios, be it in terms of engineers versus non-engineers. We are among the most diverse B schools in the country currently, and we ensure that we get people from different walks of life to come and teach at ISB. Why this is important? Why diversity is important? Because we follow something called a case-based learning method, and that requires that you have some knowledge of working in a particular organizational setting, and that's why the focus on having experienced people coming into the classroom, right? And when we discuss those cases, we get different perspectives from different people. A perspective what an engineer will bring will be quite different from a perspective which an arts graduate will bring, or somebody who has spent years, as an operations person in army. They will bring a completely different perspective to a case. So this ensures that you learn from different peer groups who are from different backgrounds, and you get inspired from them, not just in classrooms but also outside the classroom in the campus life to achieve more. So in our cohorts, we have had people who are army officers. We have every year we have at least 5 to 6 people from the army background. We have people from the sports background. So the former Olympian and hockey captain of India uh, was part of the class a few years back. A former Miss India was part of the class a couple of years back. A former band member of a very reputed Indian band has done his PGP from Indian School of Business. And you get people from different walks of life who you would really will able to learn from in not just in classroom but also outside the classrooms. A slide on our alum network. So even though we are a young B school, but we have still built up a formidable network of alumni members. CXOs, that is CEOs or CMOs or CSOs. Uh, Around 61% of our cohort is works out of the primary top of 5 industries of technology, consulting, finance, e-com, and healthcare. And another important factor of the ISB alum network is the special interest groups. So being an ISB alum, your learning never stops once you graduate from ISB. You can always join the SIGs in your interest areas, and they organize events every month, networking events, learning events, workshops in your area for you to be able to learn from the experts, the industry leaders, and grow yourself. So as ISB alum, your learning will never stop even when you graduate from ISB, but will continue to have a lifelong learning through the ISB alum network. Coming to the most important thing which the students look for is the ROI or the careers. So even though ISB is known to be a consulting and technology campus, where all the top consulting companies, you name them and they are there, all the top technology oriented companies, you name them and they come, but we also have a huge depth in terms of our placements. And this is so because we have a team of 28 plus people who work for placements, work across geographies, across offices in Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Singapore, Delhi, to ensure that they build relationships with the chief CHROs and CEOs and bring them to our campuses year after year for recruiting our students. So you name a vertical, you name a geography, and we'll have a representative company on recruiting from ISB in every year. Again, in terms of careers, you can look at the statistics which I have mentioned here. But what's more important is the Venn diagram which you see here on in the middle of the slide. 79% of the cohort of 890 students last year had a functional shift. That is, moving if they were working in IT services prior to joining ISB, they moved to marketing or finance or operations. Around 78.5 had a industry shift. That is, if they're working in automotive industry or metal and mining industry, they move to banking or consulting uh, or financial services. And 65.9% had both a functional and industry shift. So that's the whole point of coming to PGP to acquire a quantum shift in our careers. For people who want to move jobs, shift careers into a different orbit altogether, PGP program is for those people to come in and move their careers to a different orbit altogether. I would now want to talk about our two campuses. So we have two campuses in Hyderabad and Mohali, but we follow a philosophy called one school, two campuses. Now, in that, what we do is that we ensure that your learning experience is consistent across both the campuses. You can learn from faculty members from across campuses. The student experience is consistent. So, in terms of various parameters like diversity parameters, we ensure that you get the same kind of experience either at Mohali or at Hyderabad. And admissions and placements are common. You don't apply to ISB Hyderabad or ISB Mohali, you apply to ISB and give a preference of campus. And again, recruiters don't come to recruit from ISB Hyderabad or ISB Mohali. They come to recruit from ISB and they are not even aware of whether you are from Mohali campus or Hyderabad campus because placements happen at a common location, either at Hyderabad or Mohali. And if it happens in Mohali, students from Hyderabad fly down to Mohali and vice versa. And in terms of facilities, also we ensure that our students get the same facilities on both our campuses. Let's see the small video wherein you'll get an idea of the kind of facilities which we offer across both our campuses. The on the left you can see the Hyderabad campus. On the right you can see the Mohali campus, and we'll see in the video that the facilities are common across both the campuses. I'll play the video. Some of you may not be able to hear the sound of the video, but that's fine. All right. There's no voiceover. It's just background music. You can look at the facilities which we have to offer across our two campuses. So finally, to end the presentation, I'll once again reiterate the admission process for all of you. It's a three-stage process. In the first stage, you fill the application form where you capture academics, awards, achievements, essays, and so on and so forth, and you pay the application fee. The deadline for this is approaching. It's 20th of March 2021. In the second stage, you write the GMAT and GRE and submit the scores to us, along with two essays and one letter of recommendation from somebody who are known in a professional setting. And the deadline for this is 31st of August 2021. And in the stage 3, we'll have the interview process. And afterwards, the results will declare by 15th of November 2021. Once you have made an offer, you have to accept the offer by paying a fee of 1 lakh plus GST. And post which you have to then attend 3 learning weekends at Hyderabad campus at least. and undergo 20 months of work experience. And you can come and join the program in 2023 for final year students and 2024 for pre-final year students. So that's all I had as a formal part of my presentation today. I'll be very happy to take queries after we are done with the rest of the speakers. And in case I'm not able to answer any of your queries today, you are free to reach out to us on the numbers, email address, and on our social media channels. And you can also scan the QR code and look at the application form right away and ask us any queries which you might have based on that as well. So that's all from my side. Thank you all for your attention. Rachel, I'll
Sure,
stop sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amit. I think it was a very insightful 25-30 minutes, and you took them through the culture, the diversity, and networking, and more importantly, the career bit, right? I think that's very important for anybody who's an MBA aspirant. So I think it was great, and I think the video helped them understand the differences and the similarities between both the campuses. So I think that was really helpful. So we'll come to the Q&A towards the end of the session. Right now, I would like to invite the next speaker, who was Samyak. So I will be sharing my screen. To introduce him, he's presently working as a marketing executive at Yortost, and he's currently in Calcutta. And he completed his Bachelor of Business Administration from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta. And I'm pretty sure he will speak about his ISB YLP journey when we get to the conversation. And yes, he has a very interesting profile. Like he interned with Kotak and PwC India when he was studying, and he was also the vice president of business development at Isaac in Calcutta. So yeah, Samyak, welcome to the session. And I think this will be your opportunity to introduce yourself. So if you could just tell us about yourself, your education and professional background, just take us through.
Okay. So firstly, thank you so much, Crack Verbal, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you everyone who's listening, and like, hope you're having an insight, like hope you're taking notes or something so that you apply it in your application form. I think like you already introduced me, so I don't really need to speak a lot. Just that I graduated back in 2019 from St. Xavier's College. I was doing my BBA over there. And currently I'm working as a marketing executive at a leading emotional wellness provider in India. Right?
Right. So yeah, that's it. So one thing that I'm curious about is, how did you get to know about ISB's YLP, right? There might be different ways. So what was yours?
So I think I have to give credit to Mr. Amit's team for that, since he heads the digital marketing initiatives at ISB. So I came across it through a Facebook ad. And yeah, that is how I came across it. And what really appealed to me was the fact that I could work and then pursue an MBA degree, and I don't really need to worry about directly going for a master's, not having any work experience, and then going somewhere. This really was a good fit for me that way.
Right. I think everybody will have their own story, but yeah, I think we can get to that during the Q&A session or something. So yeah, moving on. So why did you decide to apply to ISB's Young Leaders Program? And was there any other course that you considered, or anything of that sort?
Right. So I think there were a couple of master's courses that I was considering in Ireland and in Australia, right? These were masters in management courses or masters in marketing management. But I wasn't really, like, I didn't want to directly take up a master's degree right after graduation, because I really wanted to work for a couple of years, wanted to see what my interest areas are, where my calling is, and what my strengths and weaknesses are, right? Before taking up an MBA program. And this is actually the format that most of the B schools abroad follow. Only in India, I think we are accustomed to a system where right after graduation, you go for a post-graduation degree, and then you kind of meet the real world, so to say. So I really wanted to take that gap, but at the same time, when you have that assurity in terms of an MBA degree from a top business school, uh, before you even start working, that gives you so much confidence to just experiment and do whatever you want to, rather than going for, say, the whatever, like flashy titles or anything that you would not want to do necessarily, but you have to do it so that you can get to a B school or sorts, right? So that gave me so much space to experiment and work at the place that I'm working right now without caring about anything else. So which is why it made perfect sense to me. And also ISB like is an extremely great business school, and I think Mr. Amit also mentioned all the qualities that make it a great business school to be in. So this is why.
So I think one thing I want to know is, was it, yeah, I'm sure you applied when you were in your second year, is it? So
No, so
that
I
would be,
applied in my final year, third year.
okay. And so that's when you decided to go ahead with ISB, and you knew what you wanted to do after getting the admit as well, I guess, because in terms of career, you're currently working as well, right? So,
So I got the admit after I graduated. So it's a 9 month process, right? It goes from March till November is when you get your results. So I graduated in the month of April and I started working post that. So yeah, I was basically working when I got the results.
right. So could you just walk us through, I think Amit did take them through the application process, but from your perspective, how was it like? Like, what was the stages like, right?
Okay. So it feels like a, I don't know, like a very comprehensive application process that you're going through. There are 3 rounds. So just to kind of, so he'd already told you what each round consists of and what they kind of expect you to deliver in each of the rounds. But the first round is the most crucial one because the percentage of people that get through from the first to second round are very few, right? And then the percentage increases then from like second to third and then from third to when you get selected, but the first round is extremely crucial that way. So it's a 9 month process, as I said, 9 or 8 month process, as I said. So it's from March till October, and you get your selection results in the month of November.
Right. 1 second. Samya, can you just make me the host once?
Sure,
Sorry for
sure.
the interruption.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah. Right. So yes, that was the application process, right? And yeah. So moving on to stage one of your application process, what was the essay question that you got in like stage one, and how did you approach it? Uh,
Sure.
how did you go about it?
Sure. So before that, so stage one has a lot of components that you have to kind of fill in, right? So I'll just from the top of the mind. One was, of course, your academic scores, right? You have to fill in your class 10, 12, your college academic scores. Then there's a section called activities. So here you usually put in your volunteer experiences, your internship experiences. Then there's a section called achievements where you put some awards that you got or recognition that you got from somewhere. Then there is a hobby section. It's a very good way to tell them about, so as Mr. Amit was mentioning about the diversity bit, right? The hobby section is a very good way to put across how you could add to the diversity of the class. So don't treat it like you could just put in like say reading, watching movies and traveling. But don't make it so like boring. Have a little bit of masala to it and make it interesting so that you also stand out in the application process. And then there is the essay question. So for me, the essay question was okay, you've said a lot of things in all these boxes that you filled in your achievement and your awards. What more would you like to tell us about you as a person? So it was very open ended. They just wanted to know a story about me, wanted to know more about me. So I put that across. So I told the story of how we like of an event where we were almost in a crisis mode 10 days before the event. It was about to be cancelled, and how I kind of put the team together. We managed to pull off a successful event, even in like the next 2 days or something. So the story was about that and how I managed to be successful after a string of failures before. So yeah, basically that.
I think it becomes a lot difficult when you have open-ended questions, right? I think otherwise it's like, yeah, there is a specific, 1 second, yeah, there is a specific, what do you say, answer that you have to give. But when it's open-ended, you need like really think about what you need to write and you need to dig deep. And I'm pretty sure even you did the same.
Yeah,
And
but for me, honestly, like round one was easier. The essay in round one was easier because in round two, the essay question was like, tell us an incident where you unlearned something about yourself.
right.
That was much more difficult for me. Like it was very
Okay.
specific, but very difficult to put across something which would be impressive to the panelists, looks realistic at the same time, and all of those
Hmm.
factors.
Right. So yeah, moving on to let's say stage 2, right? So you're done with stage 1 and you get to stage 2. And first of all, how did you feel like? And then when you got the essay question, how did you approach it?
Right. So a couple of things that I'd want to address here. One, see, stage one has a lot of different parameters that they kind not judge you, but yeah, they judge you on, right? Before they put you across to stage two. So you should not at all get disheartened if, say, your academic scores of class 10 or class 12 are not that great, because you have a chance of pulling up your application, your chances to get through to round two. If your other parameters are very good, say if you have great internship experiences, say if you have a lot of good achievements, you were awarded by the chief minister for something extraordinary in that sense, right? Or if you have very good if you wrote a very good essay demonstrating, say, leadership qualities or anything else apart from that, where you made a significant social impact for, say, so those factors will really pull up if your academic scores aren't great, and vice versa. If your other parameters aren't great and your academic scores are extraordinary, even then you'll stand a chance to move to stage two. But make sure that you have something unique in like either of the parameters. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to get to the second round. Right. So coming back to how I felt about getting to stage two, I honestly didn't think that I'd get to stage two, because a couple of my friends had also applied and they got their results first. Like they saw the results first and they didn't get through, and they had much better academic scores compared to mine. So again, I thought that not happening. But then probably my internships and other achievement bit of it pulled my application a little ahead and I got through. So felt really great, of course.
Right. That's nice to know. And I think one other point that you mentioned is, yeah, they had better academic scores, but yeah, there are a lot of factors, right? And this is like a very good example of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what happens in stage 3 of the application process? So we've done with 2 essays, and what happens in stage 3 then?
So before that, in stage two, apart from the essay, you also have to have a evaluation form filled up by an evaluator, right? So here you could either, like, I'd recommend people to choose someone who they've either worked under or who they've studied under
So
directly,
this is the
right?
recommendation
Don't,
letter, right?
yeah, the recommendation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So rather than going for, say, the principal of your college who you may not have interacted with much, or say the CEO of the company that you worked under, but you may not have interacted with that person, go for someone who may not have a very high title, so as to say, but who knows you very well, and they will, give you a very good evaluation. So I'd
Right.
recommend that. And then round two also has the GMAT scores, very importantly.
Right.
So yeah, I think these are the three main components that are there.
Yeah. And what
That's
was
as
your
you.
GMAT score and
Yeah. So
what? Yeah.
I attempted for GMAT twice. So the first time that I gave it was in the month of March, and I got a 690. And then the second time that I gave it was in July, and I got a 710. The reason I wanted to give it again is because the average GMAT score for ISB YLP candidates is 710. So I wanted to hit that mark, not be below average. But again, as I mentioned, it is a very holistic application process. So if your GMAT scores are below 710, if it's 6, some people who had GMAT scores of 650 also got through because the achievement bit or some other part of the application was extraordinary. And so, which is why I'm saying that do not get disheartened at all if any of your parameters are not up to the mark, so as to say. You can pull it up with other parameters.
I think one thing that I wanted to ask is, so when it came to recommendation letters, who did you get your recommendation letter from?
I did it with my project guide at college. So
Okay.
we'd worked on a research project very closely. He knew me very well, and also he'd been teaching me for 2 years as a marketing professor. So we had that bond, and I knew that he'd give me a good recommendation. So yeah, I
Right.
went with that.
Okay.
I still
Right.
don't know what he wrote in the recommendation letter though, because we are not
That's a
allowed to see
surprise.
it. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, getting to stage 3, right? So what happens in stage 3 after the recommendation letters, the GMAT, the 2 essays? What happens now?
So stage three is the interview process, wherein I think there were two objectives to the interview. Firstly, it's a very informal interview. So it's not like one of the other, like say an IM interview of sorts where they ask you about current affairs, they ask you about very technical questions about your branch of study, etc. It's a very informal interview where they just want to know you as a person, see whether you fit in the institute, and there's some qualities that you bring in which will help you stand out, right? And I think one another objective that they had is they wanted to check if whatever you've mentioned so far in the 2 rounds, so much information you've given them about yourself, is it true? Is it really you, or you've like hired someone who's written everything for you and yeah, done a very jazzy job with it.
Right.
So I think that was the objective that the
Whole
interviewees
stage
had.
3, right? Yeah. So, how did you prepare for your interview? And I think you spoke a little bit about the interview experience, but I'm sure there are certain things that would have happened on the day of the interview. So I'd like you to speak about that also, because I'm sure they're interested to know about that.
Sure. So I'll come to the preparation bit first. I used two main channels to two main like strategies to prepare for the interview. The first one being that I went through a lot of online forums and saw the FAQs that were there in those forums. Put them on a Google Doc, came up with answers, bullet points to all of those questions, right? So that I was prepared and I didn't have to do a lot of thinking when they asked me the question in the interview, right? That was one. And the second part that I did was they ask you a lot of questions from your resume, your essays, your application basically. It's not something that they're going to ask you which is out of the world and a random trivia question or a case that they want you to solve. It's completely about you. It's going to be from your application. So go through it very like do a lot of scrutiny to your resume and your essay and think like an interview. What are questions that they would want to ask, right? So have a lot of stories that you have from your say essays and your CV, which you can share with them whenever they ask.
Right. And what about, was it a panel interview or was it like a one-on-one? How was that?
So it's a panel interview. I had two panelists who were interviewing me, and what they also do. So all of these interviewers are alumni members of ISB, right? What they do is that they have interviewers in such a way which fits your profile. For instance, I was working in a startup, so both the interviewers were startup. So one was a person who had 4 startups, and the other was head of operations at a very famous startup. So you can't like bullshit around them. You can't do random. You can't just say random stuff and they'll, you can't take them for a ride. Basically, you have to be completely on point and know what you're saying, and yeah, that's how they.
But how was it once you enter the interview room, and what
Yeah,
is that feeling like?
right. So for that, so I work at a mental health startup, and there's a concept called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. What happens basically, CBT is about reframing your thoughts, right? If you're thinking in a certain way, say I am nervous, then your actions will be in a certain way. But if you're thinking that I'm confident and I'm up to the mark, your actions will be in certain way. Manifestation of sorts. Right? So I was extremely nervous going into the interview room because when you see people in the interview room, all of them extremely smart, very well dressed, looking very sharp, you obviously get really nervous because you don't know like if you're gonna actually get selected after the third round, right? But then that really helped me to have a little bit of positive affirmation for myself that if I've made it so far, then I think I'll make it to the next round as well. And that gave me a little bit of confidence through the interview process. But apart from that, I'd also want to mention that I was nervous in the interview process, like in the actual interview. But the panelists were very kind enough to just they offered me their breakfast that they were eating, and they were very chill with me that way. That really helped me yeah, through the interview process.
I think that's also probably because they're alumni, right? So they have been there and they
Yeah,
know probably how it feels to be there at that time. So yeah, I think
exactly.
that's a good story to have. Yeah. So when are you planning to join ISB? When were you supposed to, or when is it?
So I'll join ISB next year. I was supposed to join it this year, but I deferred it by a year. So I'll join next June.
That'll be 2022, right? 2022.
Yeah, 2022 June.
Right,
Yes.
right, right. Got it. So I'm sure before you joined or decided on the program, you had an idea as to what you wanted to do after the ISB program, right? So what is your plan, and how do you think ISB is going to help you, get to where you want to be in your career?
Sure. So as Mr. Amit mentioned, the two main roles that recruiters come to SB for are consulting roles and product management related roles. Right. I wanted to do one of the two. and that makes up about 35 to 40% of the roles that are offered to any batch on an average basis. So that gives you a 40% shot of getting to these companies, and that's a very, very good probability to have, right? So which is why it made complete sense for me to go for ISB, because I really want to get into a consulting role or into a product management role at an FMCG company. So, and there are plenty of companies that come for placements at ISB in that regard.
Right.
So I
And
think that was about my post that we had.
yeah, is there anything specific in the B school that you felt that is going to help you with the career? Let's say a lot of B schools have a lot of clubs internally, and there's a lot of things right happening. So what is it that there are skills that you need to build, and yeah, definitely the recruitment will happen, but I'm sure you are trying to build a lot of skills as well. So is there anything particular that you think will help and all of that?
For sure. So I think I missed out on the first part of the question, which is how the
Yeah.
course will help me in my career. So I think there are two components to it mainly, and I think I'd attribute 50% weightage to each of them, although I haven't taken the MBA experience yet. But from what I've understood, 50% goes to definitely the faculty, and as Mr. Amit mentioned, the faculty is world class in that sense, and 50% goes to the people that you're studying in the MBA class with, because they contribute a lot to your learning, be it building soft skills or helping you understand technical areas which you were never aware about. And because it's such a diverse class, it really helps you understand very different areas which you would have been unaware about, because a lot of other B schools have this problem that they have a lot of engineers only, and you have a very little diversity in other fields, so you do not get to learn and pick up a lot of components which you would have, and that synergy does not happen in your brain. So yeah, basically I'd attribute 50% to the faculty and 50% to the batch in general, which I'd be a part of. I think those are the main reasons why I or anyone would want to do an MBA.
Right. I think Amit actually touched upon that point, right? By you spoke about diversity. Like, I think it's a brilliant factor. I mean, that's very important for a B school because you need to interact and know more people, right? Yeah. I think meanwhile, Amit, would you like to go through the questions by the time he gets back?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
So there's a question here on which says by an anonymous attendee, what GMAT score candidates have who make it into ISB YLP?
Right.
So one thing I want to highlight here is that at ISB across our programs, we look at a holistic profile-based evaluation. So we don't have a cutoff based on any one parameter, be it academics or be it GMAT scores or such. So we look at 5 things for PGP: your ACADS, your work experience, your essays, your letter of recommendation, and your the test scores. Now, for YLP, since you want a work experience, you will look at more of your extracurrics and such, right? So at ISB, even if you have a lower GMAT score, you can always make up with ACADS. If you have lower ACADS, you can make up with a higher GMAT score or better essays, so on and so forth. But having said that, people who got into ISB last year's batch, their GMAT score was in the range of 600 to 770. That itself tells you that the kind of range we look at. And the median was 710, right? So people who get in through YLP, since you won't have work experience, you will have to have slightly higher GMAT scores or GRE scores. And I would suggest that anything in the higher than 670, you have a chance if your other 4 parameters are really good. And accordingly, you can balance your profile. So aim for at least a 670 plus in your GMAT score for YLP candidates. That's not a rule, but according to your other profile parameters, it should suffice.
Right. I think you answered both the questions together, right? I think there were a couple more questions, and I think I'll just pick up whatever I feel might be, applicable to a lot others as well.
Sure.
So I think there is a question about, is this program even for experienced professionals having 2 to 3 years of experience?
No, it's not for experienced people. It's only for people who are in the final year or pre-final year of their UG courses or PG courses. If you are an experienced professional, you can apply via early entry option or the direct PGP entry route.
Right. Yes. So it's only for people who are studying right now and not for people who already have work experience, right? That's how it is. And yes, so as academics are the only metric to judge in round one, is there a cutoff for YLP in round one?
So there is no cutoff as such across any single parameter. We won't judge you on academics alone. So in round one, what we're looking at mainly is your motivation and suitability to do your program. So there are academics, there are other achievements. There's an essay wherein we check, your clarity of thought, your articulation, your motivations. So all those things will be the basis for shortlisting you for round two. And most of the students make it to round two as long as they have been diligent. They have taken time out to fill their applications, put all their details in correct order, and taken been diligent in filling the application. That's more important for round one candidates.
Yes. I think there's a question in the chat window. So Meghna, right? I think she's asked, at this point, other than GMAT score, how can I improve my application?
So one is to think through on why you want to do this program, what is it that you want in your career, and tie it into the YLP program, right? That clarity of thought is very important. First and foremost, you should be clear on why MBA, why ISB, and why the Young Leaders program, how it will help you in your career goals. If you have that clarity, everything else will fall in place. Rest is you will need to work on collecting all your certificates for extracurriculars, whatever you've done, and tie them into your motivations and have a self-awareness about what skill sets you bring to the table. As long as you can think through all those things, that's the biggest part. And filling it in the application form will not take long. But thinking through all these points is the biggest part which you need to do. Think through all this, and that is what you can do. Apart from GMAT right now.
Correct. There's another question. I think it's COVID related. So my exam results for last semester comes in April because of late exams due to COVID. Can I send my academic scores after my application submission?
So this can be worked out on a case-to-case basis. We understand that this year has been a very difficult year for all of us. So if you are facing any such queries, any such issues, write into us at ylp@isb.edu, and we'll take a very considerate view of this, and we'll work out a solution in this. So in your case, if you don't have the latest semester marks, you can enter the earlier semester marks, and we'll allow that. But do send a request on such issues to ylp@isb.edu, and we will be very considerate of all such issues because of the current situation, the last difficulty of which all of us have had.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a question from Freya. How many ISB YLP admits are there generally every year?
Yeah, so we make a maximum of 100 offers every year to pre-final year students and 100 offers to final year students. So we can make up to 200 offers every year, but we are not able to make reach that number for last couple of years. We've made 100, 193 or 195 last year, but we will have option to make 200 offers each to pre-final year students and offers each to final year students as long as you meet our cutoffs.
Right. And how important is it to have internships with well-established firms?
Not at all important. So we are not looking at your work experience right now. If you have them, mention them, but that will be some added benefits, points, but it's not important in your case. People who are in the final year or pre-final year, we're not looking at internships. We are more looking at your potential, and we'll be judging you on that and not on what you have already done.
Correct. Yeah.
In terms of a work experience, that is.
Yes. I think there's one more question by the anonymous attendee. Do we need to submit the certificates for every achievement or extracurricular activity? Where and how?
So you need to have them with you. So whatever mentioned in your application, you will need to have them with you for verification maybe at a later date. And after you join ISB, we won't ask you to verify them at the application stage or the interview stage. But if you make it to ISB, we will verify your certificates. But more importantly, it's not about certificates. It's about what those achievements or activities enrich you as a person. And rest assured that you will be asked questions on that in the interviews. So if you mention that my hobby is so and so, or dancing or painting, people will ask you questions on that, and that will be enough for them to know at what level you have pursued that particular hobby or a passion. So don't worry about certificates as of now. But think of how those things add to you as a person, add to experiences. Certificates will verify anyways after you come to the camp. You join. You have made an offer.
Right. I think that makes sense. And there's one more question, which is you said ISB accepts 200 candidates, but out of how many? What is the acceptance rate percent-wise?
So no B school will give you the actual acceptance numbers per se, but what I can tell you is that YLP in general is much less competitive than PGP as such, because in YLP you're competing with only your peers in your pre-final year or in your final year. Once you apply to early entry option, you're competing with people who are right there with 2 years of work experience to 20 years of work experience. So in general, getting an offer in YLP is much less competitive than getting it from the direct PGP route.
Right. Got it. I think we've covered almost all important questions. I think, Amit, if you could just give us 2 minutes, Samyak, I think there's one question that you had to answer. So we could probably get back to that and wrap up the session.
Sure. Just
Samyak, are
before
you
that,
there?
I think just before that, I think
Yeah.
Meghnath asked what can she do right now that, you can just give a GMAT exam, but you can't really do a lot about your application. There's one thing
Right.
that I'd suggest which really worked for me.
Hmm.
A lot of times we don't know what to put in the application, and because there are so many things that we did over, say, the 20 years of our life, right? What you could do is just take a blank white sheet of paper and go back to, say, your class 2, class 3 days, and put every single achievement, significant, non-significant, on that piece of paper, right? And then figure out a way to highlight the significant ones and then put it across in different boxes that are there in the application form. That will automatically fill your application form and, have significant achievements. I'm sure every one of us would have something or the other that we have achieved in the last 20 years or so. So yeah,
Right.
that could
I
help.
think that's a great value add here from Samyak's end. And one more thing is, I think somebody asked about academics. So I think Samyak had shared his story about his friend, right? They had applied together, but they had better academics, but yeah, he got through. So I think that's an answer to that. So I think one thing, Samyak, can you please turn your video on? Is it possible?
So yeah, can you make me the host?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
So yeah,
So
is
I
there
had
anything you would like to share with the ISB YLB aspirants? I think that's one question that we're left with. So
I noted down 3 points that that could be helpful to you. One is be very authentic throughout the application process. Be very real, because if you make it to round 3 and you're not real in round 1 and 2, you'll not get through. They will somehow or the other smell your BS and they'll reject your application. So be very real through the application process. Whatever you are, just put that across. Second is, again, as I mentioned previously, don't be demotivated if one of the parameters in your entire application process is not up to the mark. You can pull it up with the other parameters. Right? And the third point is that through the application process, when you're filling it and when you're applying for YLP, don't be shy. Put yourself out there. Don't think that, at least this is a case with for me. I don't like speaking about myself and putting things about myself out there, but in the application process it's very important that you do, because they would really want to know you, the admission committee, that is. But at the same time, don't really boast about yourself a lot. Don't put, I don't know, don't put things which seem very unrealistic and seem very flashy and jazzy. Have a certain humbleness to your application. I think that will help. These are the
right,
three
I think those are like three really valid points. And yes, Amit did contribute to a lot of knowledge in terms of from the program's perspective as well. So I think one thing I'd like to say before we leave and wrap the session is, so if any one of you would like to know your ISB YLP profile fitment, you could send your resumes to us, and one of our experts will reach out to you and help you out in understanding that. So I had left an email ID in the chat box. I hope everybody has received it. It's Sri@crackverbal.com. She's one of our MBA experts. And so she will probably reach out to you and help you understand more about your profile fitment for the program itself. And if you could use the subject line that I've given, which is ISB YLP help, it'll be easy for us to identify your emails. And we know that the deadline is coming up soon and we don't have time to waste. So that's one thing that I would like to tell you guys. So yeah, I'll just check if there are any more questions. I think profile-based questions, I would suggest if you could send your resume to us, we will be able to, let's say, help you out with that. And Freya, you've asked about, is there any way I can apply for YLP application fee waiver? Amit, would you like to take that up?
Yeah, so in fact, in this session, 5 lucky winners will be offered rupees 1,000 vouchers for the YLP application fee waiver. And I'll be sharing those vouchers with Rachel shortly, and she will reach out to the winners and share those vouchers with them.
Right. I think that's a great offer that you are giving them, Amit. I think that's a good answer to Freya as well. So yeah. So I think with that, we will wrap up the session. So if you have any questions about your resume, please feel free to reach out to us. We will try to evaluate and help you out with that. And thank you, everybody, for attending the session. I hope you found it useful. So if you did, please do, for more such informative sessions, do follow us on our social media platforms and our YouTube channel so that you get to know a lot more about GMAT and MBA itself. So I think that's it from our end. That will be a wrap. Thank you so much. Thanks, Amit. Thanks, Samyak, for your time. I know you guys have a very busy schedule, but yes, thank you so much for being a part of this. It was
Thank you,
wonderful
Rachel.
talking to you.
Pleasure being here. Thank you for having us here, and all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.